The notices were mailed and posted on 2/6 of 2020. Our first item of business is the roll call.
Mayor Kim Smith,
Here.
Tom Smith,
Here.
Dan Stevens,
Present.
Stephen Knott,
Present.
Jim Olson,
Here.
Diane Wolf. Here.
Thank you. We'll proceed to item 2, the Pledge of the Allegiance.
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. I do not have, does somebody have the harassment-free forms? Oh,
In the back.
thank you. I apologize for that. Item 3, Rules of City of Onalaska Common Council and its subcommittees harassment-free forum. City council and subcommittee meetings shall be conducted in a courteous manner. Citizens, council, and committee members shall be allowed to state their positions in an atmosphere free of slander, insults, obscene remarks, threats of violence, or for use of council or committee as a forum for politics. Sufficient warnings may be given by the sergeant at arms at any time during the remarks, and in the event that any individual shall violate the rules of decorum heretofore set forth, such person may then be cut off from comment or debate. Thank you. Item 4, public input. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes and state your name and address before you begin. Would anyone like to address the council? Welcome.
Madam Mayor, how are you?
Very well.
Anyway, I would like to address you and the council and remind the community of what a fabulous, and I mean this, police department and fire department that the city of Onalaska has.
Could I have you state your name and address?
Oh, I'm
first?
sorry, geez, I'm Ward Kyle, 426 4th Avenue North, number 4. And I will not repeat what I just said, even though I mean it very sincerely. I've had a lot of reasons in the past months to deal with those departments. I do deliver 350 newspapers a night all over town. And Havenswood Fire was called out there when all their alarms happened to go off before it was completely finished. I've called in for many, you want to call it the health of citizens in town because maybe their doors were open, this and that. The police department's response was very quick. Just the other night, I also, I guess, had the experience of calling in the overdose case right here on Main Street that involved 2 young gentlemen, one of them who I thought actually was dead. I did not go in the car because there was no blood, otherwise I would have. But anyway, it's beside the point. He was hanging in his seatbelt. The response from the police department, from the rescue squad, to the ambulance from Gunderson, even the fire truck, was extremely fast. Sure, it seems like many minutes while you're standing there, but I did check the time, and the response was really was excellent, in my opinion. I think the community should be aware of that and also be very thankful that their safety is being taken care of by the Onalaska Police Department and the Onalaska Fire Department. I also would like to compliment this council for having such departments as the city of Onalaska has. It is really quite an experience to see these people operate. So anyway, with that, I would like all of you and the community to know that you do have tremendous police and fire departments. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Would anybody else like to address the council? This is opportunity for public input. Second call for public input. Third and final call for public input. Seeing none, we'll have that part of the meeting closed and we'll continue on to item 5, report from the mayor. A, the 9th annual Firehouse 5K Run Walk, which will be Saturday, April 11th, 2020 at 8 a.m. I just want to put a call out on behalf of the fire department. This year's Firehouse 5K is April 11th. The Onalaska Firefighters Association will be hosting it. The purpose of this event is to promote an active and healthy lifestyle in our community and to raise money to benefit the Children's Miracle Network hospitals. The event starts at 8 a.m. and there will be awards following, and as well as light food and refreshments. The start and finish line will be at the Onalaska Fire Department. Everyone is welcome. Please join us. Thank you. And then item B, library statistics and upcoming events. I have the statistics from January. There was a total of 13,155 residents that used our library in the month of January, and there was a total of 1,997 non-residents. The library does have an event coming up. It's called Art in the Library. It's a series that they've partnered with the county's Economic Development Fund to support art in our community. The session coming up will be February 18th at our Onalaska Library. It is free and open to the public, but you should please call ahead to register your spot to experience art in the library. Thank you for that. Item C, proclamation celebrating women in Onalaska Government Day. With the birth date of Susan B. Anthony coming up on February 15th, and also 2020 being the centennial of the 19th Amendment, I thought that tied in nicely with some benchmarks that have happened in Onalaska over the past year. So I would like to have February 15th of 2020 proclaim that as Women in Onalaska Government Day, whereas February 15th, 1820 is the birth date of Susan B. Anthony, an American social reformer and women's rights activist who played a pivotal role in the women's suffrage movement and is quoted for saying, "There never will be complete equality until women themselves help to make laws and elect lawmakers." And whereas the 19th Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America was ratified in 1820, officially extending the right to vote to women, and whereas the City of Onalaska currently has representation from female members on 13 of the 15 municipal committees, and whereas in 2019, the Onalaska City Council for the first time consisted equally of 3 male and 3 female elected alderpersons, and whereas women have now served as council president and mayor for the City of Onalaska, now therefore I, Kim Smith, Mayor of the City of Onalaska, do hereby proclaim February 15th, 2020 as Women in Onalaska Government Day in the City of Onalaska, and I urge all citizens to celebrate the hard work and accomplishments of all women in our community. And further, I encourage women leaders to endeavor to help make laws and become elected lawmakers as inspired by Susan B. Anthony 200 years ago. Thank you.
Motion to approve the proclamation celebrating women in Onalaska Government Day.
I'll second that.
Motion by Diane Wolf, seconded by Dan Stevens. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Item D is regarding the appointment of Jonathan Locke, 509 East Court, Onalaska, to the Park and Recreation Board. This appointment would be until April, replacing Steve Knott, who was appointed to the City Council. I just want to take a moment before moving forward with this appointment to put a call out to community members who might be interested in serving in a city committee. April is the month each year annually where committee appointments are awarded, and I hope that as we continue to go forward, we can increase diversity on committees. So the next few weeks, hopefully people can use this as an incentive to come forward and express their interest to serve on committees. That being said, I would like to appoint Jonathan Knock to the Park and Recreation Board. We'll need a motion.
A motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Alderman Tom Smith, seconded by Alderman Jim Olson to approve the appointment. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion carries unanimously. Recommendations for approval and/or possible action from the following committees, commissions, and boards. All items listed under the consent agenda are considered routine and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member requests approval, in which event the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered in the order of business in the non-consent agenda. Are there any items that people would like removed from the consent agenda? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Motion.
We accept the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion by Alderman Dan Stevens, second by Alderperson Diane Wolf to approve the consented agenda. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion carries unanimously. We'll move on to the non-consent agenda. Item 7, recap of items pulled from the consent agenda. There were none. Item D, Finance Committee, Alderman Stevens.
Thank you, Your Honor. Under item 8A, vouchers, the following is a list of monies expended since the last Common Council meeting dated January 14th, 2020. These payable include a percentage 25.9979 in 2019 compared to 28.9230 in 2020 of taxes collected through January 31st, 2020 to the taxing entities. And the total is $12,337,567.54. And I move that we approve the vouchers.
Second.
Okay, item A, vouchers. We have a motion to approve by Alderman Dan Stevens, seconded by Alderperson Jim Olson. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you. Under item B, hold on to your hats. We have a lot of resolutions to go through. The Finance Committee approved Resolution 3-2020, authorizing $50,000 of general obligation bonds for sanitary sewer projects, and I move that we approve this resolution.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion to approve Resolution 3-2020. Motion was by Dan Stevens, seconded by Tom Smith. Is there any discussion? Okay. Concerning Resolution 3-2020, please answer as your name is called.
Dan Stevens,
Aye.
Stephen Knott,
Aye.
Jim Olson,
Aye.
Tom Smith,
Aye.
Diane Wolf.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Item 2.
Item 2, Resolution 4-2020, authorizing $25,000 general obligation bonds for storm sewer projects. The committee approved this, and I move that we approve Resolution 4-2020.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion by Dan Stevens, seconded by Diane Wolf, to approve Resolution 4-2020. Is there discussion? Voting will be by roll call.
Dan Stevens,
Aye.
Stephen Knott,
Aye.
Jim Olson,
Aye.
Tom Smith,
Aye.
Diane Wolf.
Aye.
Thank you. Resolution passes unanimously. Item 3.
Under Resolution 5-2020, authorizing $320,000 of general obligation bonds for parks and public grounds. The Finance Committee approved the resolution, and I move that we approve Resolution 5-2020.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion on the floor by Dan Stevens, seconded by Jim Olson, approving Resolution 5-2020. Is there discussion? Voting will be by roll call.
Stephen Knott,
Aye.
Diane Wolf,
Aye.
Jim Olson,
Aye.
Tom Smith,
Aye.
Dan Stevens.
Aye.
Thank you. Item 4.
Item 4, under Resolution 6-2020, authorizing $2,985,000 in general obligation bonds for street improvement projects. The Finance Committee approved the resolution, and I move that we approve Resolution 6-2020.
Motion to approve. Second, I should second.
Thank you. Motion by Dan Stevens, second by Tom Smith to approve Resolution 6-2020. Is there discussion? Voting will be by roll call.
Stephen Knott,
Aye.
Diane Wolf,
Aye.
Jim Olson,
Aye.
Tom Smith.
Aye.
Dan Stevens.
Aye.
Thank you. The resolution passes unanimously. Item 5.
Under item 5, Resolution 7-2020, authorizing $1,220,000 in general obligation bonds for fire department equipment. The Finance Committee approved the Finance Committee approved the resolution, and I move that we approve Resolution 7-2020.
Second.
Thank you. Motion by Dan Stevens, second by Jim Olson to approve Resolution 7-2020. Is there discussion? Hearing none, voting will be by roll.
Diane Wolf.
Aye.
Dan Stevens.
Aye.
Stephen Knott.
Aye.
Tom Smith.
Aye.
Jim Olson.
Aye.
Thank you. Resolution 7-2020 passes unanimously. Item 6.
Under item 6, Resolution 8-2020, authorizing $80,000 in general obligation bonds for water system projects. The Finance Committee approved the resolution, and I move that we approve Resolution 8-2020.
Second.
Motion by Dan Stevens, seconded by Diane Wolf to approve Resolution 8-2020. Is there discussion? Oh, motion was by Dan Stevens, seconded by Diane Wolf. And no discussion. Voting will be by roll.
Diane Wolf.
Aye.
Dan Stevens.
Aye.
Stephen Knott.
Aye.
Tom Smith.
Aye.
Jim Olson.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Item 7.
Under Resolution 9-2020, directing public notification of notice to electors relating to bond issues, the Finance Committee approved the resolution, and I move that we approve Resolution 9-2020.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Dan Stevens, second by Tom Smith to approve Resolution 9-2020. Is there discussion? Voting will be by roll.
Jim Olson.
Aye.
Tom Smith.
Aye.
Diane Wolf.
Aye.
Dan Stevens.
Aye.
Stephen Knott.
Aye.
Thank you. The resolution passes unanimously. Item 8.
Under Resolution 10-2020, providing for the sale of $4,680,000 in general obligation corporate purpose bonds, the Finance Committee approved the resolution, and so I move that we approve Resolution 10-2020.
Second.
Motion by Dan Stevens, second by Jim Olson to approve Resolution 10-2020. Is there discussion? Hearing none, vote will be by roll call.
Jim Olson.
Aye.
Tom Smith.
Aye.
Diane Wolf.
Aye.
Dan Stevens.
Aye.
Stephen Knott.
Aye.
Thank you. The resolution passes unanimously. Item 9.
Resolution 16-2020, requesting state trust fund 5-year loan of $542,000 to purchase 3 police cars, police portable radios, city hall roof, and HVAC, municipal code recodification, and wage study. The Finance Committee approved the resolution, so I move that we approve Resolution 16-2020.
Second.
Motion by Dan Stevens, second by Diane Wolf to approve Resolution 16-2020. Is there discussion? I don't see any discussion, so voting will be by roll call.
Dan Stevens.
Aye.
Diane Wolf.
Aye.
Jim Olson.
Aye.
Stephen Knott.
Aye.
Tom Smith.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes unanimously. Item C.
Under Resolution 13-2020, to transfer funds to and from various departments in the 2019 general fund budget, Finance Committee approved the resolution, so I move that we approve Resolution 13-2020.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Dan Stevens, seconded by Tom Smith to approve Resolution 13-2020. Is there any discussion? Fred.
Just for clarification, the revised one was in your packet, and that is what you're approving tonight.
Does that have a date on it?
No, the only clarification is it was highlighted a second from the last GL account number on that sheet, it was 100-55420. The one in your packet had 1-127. The real one is the 126.
Okay, thank you. Is there any further discussion? Okay, the motion on the floor is concerning Resolution 13-2020. Voting will be by roll call.
Stephen Knott.
Aye.
Dan Stevens.
Aye.
Jim Olson.
Aye.
Tom Smith.
Aye.
Diane Wolf.
Aye.
The motion carries unanimously. Item D.
Under Resolution 142020, authorizing a transfer of general fund to DARE, the Special Project Fund for Drug Abuse Resistance Education, in the amount of $3,500. The committee approved the resolution, so I move that we approve Resolution 14-2020.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Dan Stevens, seconded by Jim Olson to approve Resolution 14-2020. Is there any discussion? Okay, voting will be by roll call.
Stephen Knott.
Aye.
Dan Stevens.
Aye.
Jim Olson.
Aye.
Tom Smith.
Aye.
Diane Wolf.
Aye.
The motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Item E.
Under Resolution 15-2020, authorizing the transfer from the 2019 general fund budget to the Special Project Fund, the Equipment Replacement Fund of $275,000. The committee approved the resolution, so I move that we approve Resolution 15-2020.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion by Dan Stevens, seconded by Diane Wolf to approve Resolution 15-2020. Is there discussion? I don't see any, so voting will be by roll.
Tom Smith.
Aye.
Dan Stevens.
Aye.
Stephen Knott.
Aye.
Jim Olson.
Aye.
Diane Wolf.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Moving on to item 9, personnel.
Thank you, Your Honor. Under review and consideration of compensation study proposals by 3 different vendors, I recommend that we refer this to the city administrator to expand on the choices.
Thank you. Discussion was held at the Finance and Personnel Committee of last week. I did review briefly the comparisons that I received from Baker Tilly, Carlson Detman, and Public Administration Associates. While my experience in this field has only been with one, that's Baker Tilly, we did receive 3, and if there's any questions, I'll be happy to answer about those 3. I do recommend in order of preference, number 1, the Baker Tilly, number 2, Public Administration Associates, and number 3, Carlson Detman.
Thank you, Eric. Are there any questions or comments from the committee?
Do we need a motion or we just want to discuss?
We will need a motion.
Okay.
Diane?
Thank you. I would like to make a motion that we award the compensation study to Baker Tilly Virchow Kraus LLP, and that it would cover all current employees, including elected officials, and the amount is not to exceed the total budgeted amount of $35,000 as approved at the capital improvements budget.
I'll second it.
Okay, so I have a motion by Diane Wolf. Who had the second? Steve Knott had the second. And the motion was to award the compensation study to Baker Tilly Virchow Kraus, and that it include all current employees, including elected officials, and that it not exceed the budgeted amount. Is that correct?
Yes.
Thank you. And then under discussion,
Here.
Tom Smith.
I would just like to say I support the administrator's role of Baker Tilly. I'm familiar with this kind of stuff. I've done this for many years in my private sector job, and have worked with Baker Tilly quite a lot. Very professional. They know their stuff, well prepared. So, and not that the others aren't either, but looking at the comparisons and with the familiarity, I definitely support the Baker Tilly decision.
Thank you, Alder Smith. Mr. Stevens.
Thank you, Your Honor. To clarify, when we say all employees, we're talking both on the city side and union positions like police and fire as well. Is that
I
correct?
believe that would be encompassed by the motion, yes.
Yes, I apologize. I didn't mean to also include and say the word labor.
It did say
Yes.
all, but I wanted
Yes.
to make sure.
I should have I did want to clarify that, yes, thank you.
That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other questions or comments? Okay. Being said, we have a motion on the floor to have Baker Tilly Virchow Kraus do the compensation study for all current employees, included elected officials, with the understanding that it would not exceed the budgeted amount. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Moving on then to judiciary, Alder Smith.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ordinance, I make a recommendation that we approve the ordinance 1660-2020 to amend Chapter 4 of Title II of the Code of Ordinances for the City of Onalaska relating to boards, commissions, and committees. And I'll make that into a motion.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor by Tom Smith, seconded by Diane Wolf, to approve ordinance 1660-2020. That was a tongue twister. Is there any discussion? Okay, all those in favor of ordinance 1660-2020, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion carries unanimously. Item B.
Yes, Your Honor. Ordinance 1661-2020, we've been requested this be deferred to the next council meeting.
Okay, thank you. Do you think we need to take a motion to defer it, or can we just not take action, which will defer it? Okay,
I'll make the motion that we defer it to the next council meeting.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Tom Smith, seconded by Jim Olson, to defer ordinance 1661-2020 to the next council meeting. Is there discussion? Not seeing, go ahead,
Just for clarification,
Alder Stevens.
Why is this being referred?
The reason it needs to be deferred is just so that we have time to catch up all the other ordinances and things that are affected before we put it into place.
Okay, thank you.
Did you want to add anything, Katie?
That's being, yeah, right, main thing, yeah.
Okay, so the motion is to defer. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Item 11, Administrative Committee.
Thank you, Your Honor. Item 11A, Resolution 12-2020, to approve special events fee schedule for 2020. It was the recommendation of Administrative Committee to approve Resolution 12-2020, and I make a motion to approve Resolution 12-2020.
Thank you. We have a motion by Diane Wolf, seconded by Steve Knott, to approve Resolution 12-2020. Is there discussion? For Resolution 12-2020, voting will be by roll call.
Diane Wolf,
Aye.
Dan Stevens,
Aye.
Stephen Knott,
Aye.
Tom Smith,
Aye.
Jim Olson.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Item 12, Public Works. It's you, Diane, right?
Oh, sorry.
Alder Wolf.
I'm breathing. Thank you. Item 12A, Resolution 11-2020, City of Onalaska's support of State Trunk Highways 16 Multi-Use Connector Trail Project. It was the recommendation of Board of Public Works to approve Resolution 11-2020. And so I will move to this evening to approve Resolution 11-2020.
And I'll second that.
Thank you. Motion was by Diane Wolf, seconded by Alder Tom Smith, to approve Resolution 11-2020. Is there discussion? Okay, and we'll do voting by roll.
Jim Olson,
Aye.
Tom Smith,
Aye.
Diane Wolf,
Aye.
Dan Stevens,
Aye.
Stephen Knott.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Item 13, Plan Commission. Under item A, approval of a request to extend the final plot submittal requirement for 1 year, as recommended by Kevin Fry on behalf of the Elmwood Partners, 1859 Sand Lake Road, Onalaska, for the 4th addition to the Country Club Estates plat. The tax parcel ID number is 18-3566-100 and 18-4479-0, and it was the recommendation of the Plan Commission to approve, but I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Motion by Tom Smith, seconded by Jim Olson, to approve the request concerning the final plat. Under discussion, Alder Wolf.
Thank you, Your Honor. If we could get some feedback from Katie, a brief history of the background, when this started, how many times this has come before Plan Commission, and how many extensions that they have asked for. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. The original approval of the preliminary plat for this project was in March of 2012. In May of 2012, the city approved the rezoning and annexation formally into the city of Onalaska. In February of 2015, the city began annual one-year extensions for final plat submittal through the most recent of February 12th of 2019. The requested action is consideration of a one-year extension to 2021, allowing the fourth addition to the Country Clubs Estate plat be submitted later than 36 months. The city has a rule that states you have to provide your final plat after 36 months, and thereafter, if you do not comply with our requirement, you're able to get one-year extensions. We currently do not have a time limit on how often people can request extensions.
Thank you, Katie. Diane?
Thank you. I've been following this for quite some time. I know that it did pass at Plan Commission 4-1. I know there were a couple Plan Commissioners who weighed in on it and expressed concerns. They thought there was some discussion whether they should just pull it off, come back with a new plan and such. I, for one, am just hesitant to go ahead and say yes again for one more year. I had asked Katie just to pull this off consent agenda because I don't like to have a messy agenda, so that's why I pulled it off the consent agenda, put it on the non-consent. I was originally going to vote yes tonight, but I've changed my mind and I will be voting no this evening. I think that I'm just ready to just draw the line in the sand and say no, and they just need to come back and start with a new plan. I think there's been enough time, so thank you.
Thank you, Alder Wolf. Alder Knott?
Yes. I remember when this came up when I was on Plan Commission last year as well, and I know there was a lot of discussion then because it kept coming back. And so obviously it's come back again and was recommended approval by the Plan Commission for another time. I wasn't party on the Plan Commission this time to listen to the discussions. Obviously, that we got our minutes, but I'm pretty certain had I been there, I would have voted no on this. I came very close to voting no last year. I think it really should go back to a plan as well. That's just my own view. They should go back to the drawing board and figure this out, what they're going to do.
Thank you. Alder Smith?
Yeah, I'm on the Planning Commission too, and we did have a lot of discussion on this, and it went back and forth. It did pass. It was pretty close to do it, knowing that we really need to end this, and said this would be pretty well the last time we had. Some of the discussion came up is that was during all the zoning changes, and because of that, we talked to the Planning Commission, we talked to the staff, is that because of all the changes going on, it was another reason maybe to allow it to be extended at least one more year now that we have the plan, or we'll have the new zoning in place, we'll have the new places, we'll be able to handle a little bit better moving forward. So that was a thought behind it, and Katie and her team was part of that discussion. So as much as we were hesitant at doing that, because of all the changes from this year to our new moving forward, we granted it for one more year, but with not just saying that it's got to come to an end. So if this is the last year, we'll probably support this from a Planning Commission perspective. So that was our thought.
Thank you. Alder Stevens?
Just for clarity here, if this is how many times has this been pushed forward? And if we're saying that the reason for giving them an additional extension is the changes to the code, how many of these extensions happen prior to there being a code change?
Katie, would you want to answer that?
Because we discussed
5.
that, yeah.
5?
Mm-hmm.
This would be the 6th extension.
I'd like to ask, is staff would you have a recommendation on the appropriateness of continually pushing extensions out, or are the extenuating circumstances of the change in the code enough to warrant granting an additional extension?
Our code will allow additional flexibility. They have noted that they intended to come forward with a planned unit development. Our code has changed in that regard in terms of allowing the two steps of the process to run at the same time. So that's a new change that we have. We also have a new change in the code that you cannot have unlimited requests. We do have a stopper that you can only ask so many times, and then you are required to reapply. So those are two major changes. We've had some before. Another example brought up often was the French Valley project that had received well over 10 extensions over time before the city finally said no, that you have to come back with a new project. It was essentially given by the developer that the market conditions were not yet ready for this, and they are requesting one additional year at this time.
Do extensions have to be in one-year increments, or can we make a motion to grant them that there were some changes, but this needs to either happen or not?
They've always been done in one-year increments,
Is that by policy, or is that by?
which is going to be changed thereafter.
Okay, Alder Knott?
So did Kevin Fry or the Elmwood, or someone else from Elmwood Partners state that the delay, their request for yet another extension is because of the zoning changes? And did they say exactly how the zoning changes impacted them?
I can read you the letter that came before the Plan Commission. It says, the original preliminary plat of the fourth addition to the Country Club Estates was approved to the Common Council in March 13th, 2012 meeting with a one-year extension at the February 2019 meeting. We are requesting a one-year extension of the approval of the preliminary plat to allow for more time to see this project through.
Okay.
It was in conversation with staff regarding the zoning change, but not part of their formal application.
And so that they didn't even mention that as a consideration.
Not in their letter.
And I just want to make sure I restate also that if there was a vote that turned this down, that does in no way prevents them from reapplying with another plan, correct?
Correct. They would have to begin again with a new preliminary plat.
Right.
But they could do so immediately. There's not a delay.
There is no delay.
Okay, Alder Stevens?
I'm not sure that I'm comfortable with a whole year extension. It may seem like the easiest recourse is to deny it and then have them just apply for a new plan. I'm wondering if we could do a happy medium. Under special circumstances, can we do a 6-month extension, or does it have to be a year?
Zoning code. I'll look it up real quick.
Okay, is there any other discussion while the attorney is investigating that option? Okay, I'll just, Alder Knott?
One of the concerns I would have, one of the considerations that I would have on a lot of things that come before the committee is any risk at establishing a precedent. I mean, we had a 10-year, this is going on, I guess you said 6 in the past, so this is number 7. The more we do continuous extensions, potentially could be making it more difficult to say no in the future to additional requests. That's just something I'd like to consider too.
Thank you. Is there any other discussion? Just Alder Stevens?
I think my counterpoint to Alder Knott's valid concern is this council would get to make those arbitrary decisions as I don't think it's a matter of precedent. I think it's a matter of the council vote. But
Just thank you. I'll remind everyone that the motion on the floor right now is to approve the request to extend the final plat submittal requirement for 1 year, is the motion that's on the floor. Amanda, are you going to be able to?
Just give me one.
All these
What-
alders and nobody has nothing to say. Alder Stevens?
You can count on me to have something to say. So I guess what I'm struggling with is do we realize that perhaps the change in the code may have caused a delay, and so would it be reasonable to grant at least a partial extension, or part of me is also thinking just deny it and make them reapply again? So I'm interested to see if if we have that ability to try to do some sort of compromise, or if it's just cleaner if we turn it down.
Thank you, Alder Stevens. Eric Rindfleisch?
Thank you. As we're all fiercely looking at the old code of ordinances right now on our devices, and I'm very thankful that we are rewriting these, so it's a whole lot easier to find these kinds of, answer these wider kind of questions. It does occur to me, though, that in conversation, it was not the zoning code that caused the delay. It was very clearly the market conditions were not right for them to develop that. I'm just not sure either 6 months or 1 year is enough to really decide that. If that's the driving factor of not reaching the final plat, is their planned market, and the market conditions are not right for that planned market, if 6 months or a year is even valid.
Thank you. Alder Olson?
That would seem to be a clear decision to make then.
That helps me. Yes.
Okay, I think we have a result here. City Attorney Amanda Jackson.
Pursuant to the ordinances, it doesn't define when an extension is, simply that you can grant an extension.
Provided it's in writing by the applicant, which
Yeah.
has been achieved.
Okay, thank you very much for that input. Alder Knott, I think you had a comment.
No, it was already answered when Eric gave his
Okay.
answer, so yeah.
All right, are the alders done discussing?
Ask for a roll call
Alder
vote.
Wolf? Okay, we are ready to vote. The motion on the floor is to approve the extension for 1 year, and voting will be by roll.
Dan Stevens,
I'm going to say nay.
Diane Wolf,
No.
Jim Olson,
Aye.
Stephen Knott,
Nay.
Tom Smith.
Aye.
Okay, the motion fails. The vote was 3-2. Moving on to item 14.
Thank you, Your Honor. Under item 14A, authorization to proceed forward with a petition under Wisconsin Statute 66.1025 to order the sale of Oak Park Number 5. The Park and Recreation and Library Board is met and approved the measure, and I'd recommend that we approve the item as per the agenda.
I'll second.
Thank you. Motion was by Alder Dan Stevens. Second was by Alder Steve Knott to authorize approval to move forward with the petition to sell Oak Park Number 5. Is there under discussion? Alder Stevens?
Thank you, Your Honor. I would just like to add for transparency that the Park Recreation and Library Board did have many members that would be affected by the sale, and they uniformly supported the sale of the property. It is, while we prefer to not get rid of green space, in this case, the park is not easily accessible to the public, so therefore it's hard for us to maintain, and in this case, it makes sense to bring the item to market, and it was supported by the community.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Okay, so the motion on the floor is to, Amanda Jackson.
I was just going to refer to the last Park Rec and Library Board agendas. If you wanted to kind of get more background on this, what it means to go to petition, we will have to get circuit court approval to do this because it was platted as parkland. And so that was part of the reason we wanted this on the agenda tonight, was just that we weren't sure all of you had had an opportunity to kind of follow this process. So if you have any questions, Dan or I or Dan Stevens could answer those.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Okay, that being said, all those in favor of authorizing to move forward with the sale, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Item 15 is concerning closed session. To consider a motion to convene in closed session under Section 19.85, Paragraph 1, Paragraph E of the Wisconsin statutes for the purpose of deliberating or negotiating the purchase of public properties, the investing of public funds, or conducting of other specified business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session. Specifically, discussion and negotiation regarding the proposed sanitary sewer agreement with the City of La Crosse, negotiations with 2285 Quarry Lane for the reservoir easement agreement, the IAFF, International Association of Firefighters, Local 127, and to consider a motion to convene in closed session under Section 19.85, Paragraph 1, Paragraph G of the Wisconsin statutes for the purpose of conferring with legal counsel for the governmental body who is rendering oral or written advice concerning strategy to be adopted by the body with respect to litigation in which it is or is likely to become involved. Specifically, the IAFF, International Association of Firefighters, Local 127, Grievance 2019-3, RE Part-Time Emergency Medical Technicians, IAFF, International Association of Firefighters, Local 127, Prohibited Practice Complaint, RE Part-Time Emergency Medical Technicians, and also a water leak at 945 Oak Avenue South. If any action is required in open session as a result of the closed session, the council will reconvene in open session to take the necessary action and/or continue on with the printed agenda. Do we have a motion?
A motion going to close.
Second.
Motion by Jim Olson, seconded by Dan Stevens. Voting will be by roll call.
Tom Smith.
Aye.
Dan Stevens.
Aye.
Stephen Knott.
Aye.
Jim Olson.
Aye.
Diane Wolf.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. We are in closed session, and the time is 8:47.
7:47.
Oh, 7:47. Wow.
Make it later than it is.
I should get an award for getting